The Square Ball Podcast.
Welcome to the show. It's brought to you with Levi Solicitors. levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball for a 10% discount on your legal fees. Dan, Michael, and Moscow here for part 3 of the show. We do heroes and villains. First, we will pick a Ken Bates villain of the week, including nominations from us and from our TSB Plus subscribers who send us their feedback after every game. And plenty of nominations, kicking off with the referee, a weekly occurrence. Representative of the poor refereeing standards in the Premier League, Paul Tierney gets a load from Andy, Eamon, Ken, Vince, Grumpy Git, Kev, Jeff, Aidan, Rick, Jambo, Mike, John, among others. Why? How?
Well, you already spent half the other show defending him.
I didn't defend him. I just think refereeing standards...
Said he was great, so he had lovely hair.
And the refereeing standards, by and large, are
Could
shit.
be in a soap opera.
They've backed themselves into a corner with stupid rule changes. The PGMOL, whatever it's called, that run the refs, not helping. I think even like the implementation of VAR, where you know if they're going to go to the screen, they're going to overturn it. I want to see a ref go to the screen and then not overturn it and go, actually, I've had a look at it. No, it's fine. But it's all theatrical. It's bullshit, isn't it?
Do a wanker sign down the camera and are pointing at his eyes and saying, like, get them. What the fuck are you looking at?
I had to come all the way over here. Look at that. Rubbish. It's basically the Llorente one, and I think he was wrong on that.
Yeah, he was wrong on that.
But I don't mind refs getting it wrong. It's fine.
He does also get picked up. This is a fair
Even
point.
when we concede.
No, well, it happens in football, but it didn't matter, did it, ultimately? There wasn't a consequence from it.
Andy does pick him up on the fact that Hennessy takes an age with every goal kick. Fine. Melee takes a few seconds. Hurry up. And that is true. That if you get into the last 10 minutes and you're winning a game, referees are really, really quick to pick you up on time wasting. They're like, come on, then they're making little, I'm stopping this gestures, tapping the wrist and everything.
But it's by virtue of Burnley's time wasting that we ended up with 5 minutes of injury time, wasn't it? So it's their own bloody fault.
Well, they were doing it in the first half too. There should have been 5 minutes added on in the first half in that case. It's just that I think it takes refs by surprise when people do it from the first minute, because they're like, well, surely they're not time wasted now, like, because that'd be weird. But
are they stupid? They must know that it happens.
Yes.
How many times do they referee Burnley a season, and they must do it in every game? So
it is one of the, a bit like we were saying in, how he wasn't allowed to be sent off because it was after 6 seconds in the Liverpool game. It's a bit like, well, I'm not going to add on time for time wasted now because we're 20 minutes in.
Did Tierney get booted off the Chelsea-Liverpool game and sent over to us? Because Anthony Taylor ended up refereeing that.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened there.
There was some sort of shake around, wasn't there? There was a change.
I'm sure they were happy with it.
And just to take it back, when you said there were no repercussions from the Llorente foul being incorrectly given, we conceded a goal. Cornet did his stupid, silly dancing. Somebody threw a bottle at what's-his-face. Our reputation diminished. A Leeds fan will be getting a banning order. Rightly. Can't throw stuff. Those are a lot of repercussions. It's the old butterfly effect, isn't it? So
I didn't mean there were no repercussions. I meant in terms of football.
Well, you said there were no repercussions, so I'm just pointing out some of the repercussions.
And Llorente got booked as well.
I was going to say, Llorente now misses the West Ham game, doesn't he? And not the
league
Cup
game
one
as
either.
well. So we've had one game, and of course West Ham away, Robin Koch is going to get injured, so we'll never see the best centre half partnership since Ferdinand and Woodgate and Butler and Neil Collins, if they ever played together.
No, they didn't. No. Butler and Gregan.
That's who I was forgetting.
Grumpy Git Kev's post, actually, his feedback does point out that VAR is absolutely pointless, but there's nothing that VAR could have done because it won't look at free kicks and yellow cards, will it? That's why it's used. It's toothless. It's wrongly implemented, isn't it?
And then it took him ages to take that free kick as well.
Kicks, though, do you?
It's hard though.
But if he scores from a direct free kick like he did there, and the free kick was incorrectly given, then you would feel within your rights.
Just get the referee to make the right decision. It's much easier.
Speaking of that free kick, what flows from that is Cornet.
Yeah,
he's
just for everything.
Cornet, if we're going to give him his proper francophile name.
I'll dance in front of him if I ever see him.
Somebody with no name. Ben, somebody else, John P, Jake, Boney M, Brooksy, Spadge, John, all picking out Cornet.
This actually does bear on the referee slightly because it's Ben points out his awful celebration that he did twice. After, and this goes back to the Arsenal game as well, when they went running into the same corner and the referee was like, look, there's been an incident down there already, get out. This one, obviously Bugalugs has the bottle thrown at him and then is staggering about and they bring people on, and then Cornet's off into the same corner again, having been told, the referee says, right, everybody out of that corner, and then he goes off there again dancing. Book the silly little sod, because there's got to be some kind of, I don't know. Check the rule books on what referees can actually do.
A disincentivization to do it.
But just if the referee says to you, don't go and dance in that corner, and then you go and dance in that corner again, like minutes after the goal's been scored, get your yellow card out. That's dissent, isn't it? You're ignoring the referee's instructions. And there's got to be, if you were saying, get 10 yards back at this free kick and you didn't do it, you get a booking for, I don't know if it's dissent or unsportsmanlike behaviour, but, you know, you talk about refereeing and what they can and can't do. Being ignored by players is probably a problem when it comes to refereeing. So I don't know who's to blame for this. Cornet, Turney, both of them.
Spadge just point out that if you're on a night out and you start giving it the big one to a group of lads, is it surprising you may be on the receiving end of a straightener? And there is an element of that to
it's a bit like celebration. You can draw sort of parallels with like internet warriors, can't you? Because you know there's no consequence to being an arsehole on the internet. You know that you're kind of protected by being on a football pitch up to a point. Yeah, whereas Leeds fans decided to call the bluff on that.
I get partly in the face because this shouldn't be taken as condoning bottle throwing. Say, you know, there will be a banning order for whoever did it, and it'll be, you know, unlucky for them, but also don't throw stuff at them, and then that doesn't happen. But there seems to be a fashion for it at the moment, and I don't know if what's happening in France you'd call necessarily a fashion for it. It's an absolute craze, but it's happening. It was the Arsenal game with loads of stuff being thrown in the corner. Not our Arsenal game, but when they played against Man City. So Man City went and celebrated them. Loads of stuff came flying on, and you just think with it being kind of, these things go in waves in football. It's like when everybody had inflatables because Man City had them. So that became a craze for a while, and there's always trends come and go. And if the trend is when players are dancing in front of opposition fans, full bottles are being chucked in their faces, you'd maybe just have a word as players and said, well, we need to stop people throwing stuff onto the pitch, and we can say to the fans, don't do it. But also, how about we just don't go and goad fans for a while and see if that stops it from happening, and then maybe just calm it down for a little bit, manage this period when it seems to be, you know, every match of the day is saying, oh no, and a bottle thrown on, and oh, there's an object, and because it keeps getting picked up on, it becomes not a virtuous circle, but it's a circle. The more you see it, the more it happens, more people you see it, and it needs, you know, you can tell the fans not to do it, but, you know, the fans know they're not supposed to do it. That's why they do it.
A circuit breaker.
Rafinha went over and had a word, didn't he? Perhaps in the knowledge that he'd done more or less the same thing at Chelsea, having scored a penalty. He kind of went over and went, "Is dancing not? Did people not like the dancing? I don't know. I did."
Safe distance though, wasn't he?
Well, that's the thing.
That's it. Do it out of throwing distance. It's not a big ask. It's kind of just. And it is odd that it always seems to be that corner at Elland Road, and it does make me wonder if there is some kind of thing where, you know, players do talk to each other and roll out, go and celebrate in front of the crowd, because our crowd is different and everybody is picking out as different, and you can see from the way Stuart Dallas's goal was celebrated in the South Stand, compare that to Old Trafford when it's the absolute bullshit. It's a totally different atmosphere, and players seem to be, from other teams, revelling in it to an extent, like Dominic Calvert-Lewin when he scored at the start of the season. And so I don't know what the message is that they all think will go to Elland Road. And hostile atmosphere is one thing, but as we were saying on the match ball, we weren't being hostile to Maxwell Cornet, but he'd been on the pitch 10 minutes. Nobody had noticed him until he banged that free kick in. It would be like the Madison, was it Madison who scored for Leicester? It's the same thing there. Well, that was an absolutely fantastic goal.
Harvey Barnes.
You think that's an absolutely fantastic goal. And you sort of look there and that's great. And then you look at him and go, what are you doing now, you wanker? You scored a good goal. Now piss off.
I know. It's not like, to go back to the old days of like Cantona, who used to get absolute like abuse thrown at him for the full game. And if he scored, he'd kind of give a bit back, which again was maybe a bit daft for getting stuff thrown at you. But equally, it was always you sort of have to go, well, yeah, and it'll be the same when Ronaldo scores this year after getting loads of abuse from us. You know, he will have a point of being able to do it, because he'll be like, well, you've been saying whatever you've been saying. Who knows what it'll be?
Calling me a character and other things.
But with Harvey Barnes, the atmosphere would have just been, oh, bloody hell, that was a good goal. Fucking hell, Leeds, why didn't you stop that? We just scored. What the hell happened? Nobody really cares about Harvey Barnes one way or the other. Nobody cared about Maxwell Cornet one where they just go, oh, it's a good free kick, that bloody hell. Melier should have been over to his right. Why didn't Tyler Roberts block down the wall? Then suddenly he's doing all this. Right, chuck stuff at you. So
right,
but the bottle thrower is a villain as well. Just don't fall for it.
Yeah, let's wrap it up then with this part of it anyway. With the bottle thrower gets mentioned again. Matt Loughton, who got hit by the bottle, gets nominated. Probably feels irresponsible to indulge that from Adsham. Behave yourself.
No, I think the whole incident. Everybody involved can just go away together.
Do you think Dyche talked it down because he throws bottles at them regularly and not plastic ones either? Big, old-fashioned, thick-bottomed.
It reminds me of, is it the film Dodgeball when... is it?
Yeah, he's throwing spanners at them
and he's chucking wrenches and spanners at them. Yeah, maybe so. Wood and Taylor, our ex-players playing for Burnley, both get a number of nominations. Adrian, Sazzy, Philip, Finn, all picking them out.
Philip does mention that on the BBC radio commentary, Michael Brown called out Charlie Taylor for not being the brightest. So can you imagine how dumb he has to be for Brownie to say that? Which is a fair point. He does have a stupid face, does Charlie Taylor.
Sean Dyche gets picked out by a number of people. Matt, Ben, Marvin, West End Ralph, J. Sam, Roger, among others. He's described by Roger actually as the joyless anti-Bielsa, always croaking in the fourth official's ear.
Yeah, there's that contrast between
what does that sound like?
There's the contrast between the stuff he says after the game, for example.
That was a great atmosphere.
And then the stuff, the absolute awful behaviour you get from him during the game when he's in the fourth official's ear, like,
Ref, throw him, ref, he's our throw, ref.
See that bottle? He wouldn't have been calm about the bottle when it was happening. So that's one of the other things with Dyche, the hypocrisy.
Yeah, and Marvin is being slightly presumptuous by saying that Dyche ball, good riddance.
Well,
we'll have Tony Mowbray to enjoy next season.
Tony Mowbray's teams play fairly exciting football. I think it would be more interesting to watch them.
I take that back. I'm sorry. It's just we can only have so many Northwest clubs at a time.
Burnley as a concept also picked out for similar sort of reasons. Scrooge McHutch, pleased to pick out the Burnley fans for increasing the allocated amount of fingers and toes in a football stadium, etc., etc.
I mean, Boney M saying sums it up quite nicely. Seriously, who the fuck time wasting the first half of a fucking game?
Wolves?
Well, yes, Wolves do it as well.
Gary Monk did it against us as well, didn't he, with Sheffield Wednesday when it was
slowing the game down
when they were losing. They couldn't snap themselves out of it. I remember it, and they just kept taking ages over everything as if they couldn't stop.
Would you be sorry to see them get relegated this season if they were to get relegated?
Not really. Although I quite like it as an away ground actually, because it's old and shit, which is what I look for in a stadium,
and close.
So,
yeah,
so I'd be happy enough for them to stay up for that. But yeah, I don't like watching them play. Although I do like watching us beat them, which we do seem to do more often than not, so that's quite good.
Yep, Graham picks out the footballing gods for denying us Bamford to punish an awful team who deserved to be on the end of a humiliating scoreline.
Obviously his grudge with Dyche as well. We were awaiting another episode in that, but that may have to go on the back burner as well if Burnley get relegated.
Budweiser, Howling Rick, who sounds like a WWE wrestler, suggests that Budweiser on the Premier League app named Dallas the king of the match. He's a bloody man of the match, Mr. Shitlager.
Other knobheads first Leeds for not putting any buses on.
Yeah, that was poor. That's a poor show. Was it a bank holiday?
I don't know if it was.
Sort of. There was one the next day, but they never do. Boxing Day and New Year's Day, they never do.
It wasn't New Year's Day, it was the second though.
Yeah, but it's New Year's weekend.
I thought privatised bus things were meant to be like efficient. Surely
they're about making profit for shareholders.
But surely
not about putting a bus. If they could get away with never running a bus, they'd do it.
I mean,
this is easy money though. This is like the most full a bus ever is on these days.
It involves getting people in for work and paying them double time though, doesn't it, and stuff like that. But Tom is even aggrieved by it, and he says, "I live in Canada now, so I wasn't affected by the lack of buses yesterday, but they're previous in not running." Right, fair enough.
Yeah. Well, yes, because he's telling the story New Year's Day 2014 when he was hungover making the short trip from Outwood to Leeds by train to find there were no buses, then hiked to ER where the heavens opened on the way, and I discovered I had a hole in my shoe, and I sat soaked and freezing through 90 minutes of shite football.
It feels like
we lost 2-1.
They've become the conduit
to then walk back
through which you want to express your misery. First buses then, rather than all the other stuff that happened.
This is Tom's story, not my story.
No, I know. I mean, you as in Tom, not you personally.
Okay.
What's Zach picking me out for? I had to show off about Chelsea being 2-0 down, single-handedly giving Chelsea 2. No, I don't care what happens between Chelsea and Liverpool. Let the billionaires fight out between themselves.
I actually want to nominate both of you.
Why?
well, where's my Christmas present, you bastard? And it's you came up with the idea of a secret
I
Santa.
bought you a Christmas present.
And then but you've not brought it.
I have it here.
Oh, okay. And then where's our secret Santa? Right.
Not doing it. I've been too busy. I was too busy fucking doing all your stupid podcasts when you were sat at home with your feet up.
Allegedly.
Me and Michael can exchange gifts then.
Wow. Is yours wrapped?
No.
Oh, good. Neither's
No,
mine.
look,
If
I
you're
do have
on-
a feeling we might have got each other the same
If
thing.
you're on YouTube, show it to the camera for YouTube's purposes.
It's got my address on it.
A4
Oh, yeah, that's
envelope. A4 rigid envelope, so you've both got like the same cardboard reinforced envelope. So is it some sort of certificate?
It's a letter. It's a historical document.
Well, I also have historical documents that I was going to share between you, but you can have them all now.
You're going to have to pretend on this that it's your name at the top of this letter.
Okay.
Because I know it's I know you've sent a similar thing, and also you're going to have to overcome the disappointment of there being no signed photograph.
Okay.
What have you got him?
But here you go. It's a letter that I found someone selling on eBay.
Dear Daniel, we'll pretend it says.
That's what it says.
Thank you for your recent card
You
filled
say
with...
it's on Leeds United headed notepaper, we should say, by the way.
Does have someone
letterhead.
else's
Yes,
address on
someone
it.
his address on it. So,
Although the person is
put that
clearly an oddball.
I mean, that's not. So we'll pretend it's still me, dear Daniel. Thank you for your recent card filled with kind words of support. They are greatly appreciated. I am proud to be the manager of such a great club and hopefully get them back to where they belong in the Premiership. A letter from Bielsa. I have enclosed signed photographs for you and your dad for your collection. Kind regards. Oh, Neil Warnock. Oh well.
There
Well,
you go.
thank you.
His own fair hand.
I am
has
touched.
that.
I can't remember what the budget you set was, so I just went a bit mad. Bearing in mind, I was at the time I was buying for two.
That's why I didn't get anything. Say I was saving the company money.
Well, I spent my own money, so I mean,
that person,
I'm not that tight.
by the way, who, if you look through their other items on eBay, they clearly pretend to be fans of a club and write to the manager in the hope of eliciting a reply and pictures.
Right.
Because they did it, they had letters from loads of different people, all basically with the same format. So they obviously just write to, whoever. They'll be writing to like Sean Dyche.
Gary McSheffrey.
Sean Dyche now going like, oh, you're doing such a great job. If you can send me a picture of your big ginger head, that'd be lovely.
Here's all right. So in return, there's a few of these.
Oh, I can see the writing on the back of that one. I'm excited already. Now the next one.
I just need you to know, by the way, that if I had got your Secret Santas, I would have spent the company money and not my own.
Okay.
So here's gift one.
Gift one.
What's that?
Oh wow.
What is it?
Hold it up for the camera.
That's Luke Varney.
Oh, wow.
And what is it though?
It's a signed photo
A signed
of him
photograph.
having punched someone in the face, I think, by the looks of it.
It's denying everything. And then here's the next one that you read the back of, I think.
It's Tongi. I saw his
Another
name.
signed photograph.
Wow, there he is.
These
Poetry
are
in
all
motion.
signed photographs for
Getting on the end of a Warnock, a standard Warnock
He's had his
pass.
best then.
Go on.
Then the next one I think you'll particularly appreciate.
Nigel Worthington. Look at that.
I know
What's it written on it?
He's one of your particular
Oh,
favourites.
best wishes, isn't it?
Yeah.
There he is. Look at him.
Signed it very,
Glorious.
Merry
very
Christmas.
slowly.
30, what will he be on this picture? 32, 33?
22 if he's a very fine, absolute picture of health. We were speaking about him before. There you go.
Ah,
You've really gone to town here, Moscow.
old Billy Big Tits. I was at that game. That's Preston away, isn't it? That where he's facing the away fans
Scoring
doing
his goal,
I
celebrating.
can't believe it. He'd just done the beforehand.
Here's you've had the big tits now. At the other end, the big arse of
Oh, Tate.
Alan Tate.
Alan Tate with, with Johnny Woodgate. Yeah,
I
he doesn't
mean-
look in good nick there for a footballer, does he, Tate? You have to say.
No.
He looks kind of
All I
thick.
remember, he was very briefly on loan with us, wasn't he? And the size of that man's backside was phenomenal.
I remember he was considered to be a good signing for like one game,
When
in
we
the same way
saw him.
in the same way as all centre back signings were.
And then here's the
Wow, this is a big one.
this is a big. It's an A4, more than A4 sized, glossy signed photograph.
Jason Brown.
Got it in one. Even wearing the Leeds kit, though, you can't imagine how rare it is to find a photo of Jason Brown.
That's rare as hen's teeth.
signed
Rare as hen's teeth.
in
isn't
a
it?
Leeds
Yeah.
kit.
Wow, I must admit, without knowing the general theme, if it had been a picture just of his head or him in a different kit, I may have struggled to know that was Jason Brown.
Can you? I look in good shape compared to that. Do you want to put that somewhere up in the studio furniture? I feel like that's an important artifact we've got.
You can't
Shall I
cover
just
up
put him
John Lukic.
straight over John Lukic's face? One goalkeeper for another?
We'll sort it out later.
We'll do it.
We can't
do it when we're
redecorate.
finished.
Taking down Bielsa.
I'll take Bielsa down and I'll cover up John Lukic.
There we go.
So there's Christmas.
Anyway, back to heroes and villains. On the keeper's front, Hennessy is picked out, actually. Slip wasn't pleased with Hennessy for getting his hand to Dan James's header and ensuring I was sat down with my head in my hands when it belatedly bounced in. Brilliant, I love that. Surprisingly limp-wristed for somebody so fond of salutes. Yeah.
It wasn't a salute. He didn't know. He didn't know.
Waving at it, wasn't
he? Didn't know it was Lewis. He was waving at the person taking the photograph.
A very firm wave, wasn't it?
Indeed. Children.
Yep.
Get some nominations, not for being miserable bitches, as I described the 8-year-old girl famously, but running on the pitch.
The post-match crash. Well, it's sort of a treasure hunt, isn't it?
That's become a thing.
Run on and see what you can get.
We laughed about it earlier in the season and went, don't be spoil sports. And now I take it all back, imprison the little criminals.
Well, Andy's laying straight into him. He said, they've just had sodding Christmas. What more do the begging little shits want?
It's awkward because on the one hand, those signs you see everywhere at every game saying, can I have your shirt, kind of seem a bit annoying. But then the girl who got Luke Ayling's shirt and was filmed absolutely sobbing her eyes out, but it was the most meaningful thing.
Isn't that because she's just been told, no, this is going on eBay?
Well, this is
what
it.
Do you mean, Daddy? That's not true, by the way.
It does then turn into a beautiful moment for a young person. You think how good it is and positive that you can make somebody feel that way. But I don't know, maybe they should also have to sign a contract that they have to keep feeling that way about this piece of sweaty cloth until they're at least 45. If at any moment now there is even the slightest dip in emotion in the way she feels about that shirt, take it off her. It's that you wanted it.
It's like in Speed, isn't it?
You've got it.
If the speedo goes below 50, the bus blows up. You've got to stay in a state of heightened emotion until you're in your middle age, and then you can finally stop crying over that shirt.
It did soften me to the whole, hand-painted signs, please can I have your shirt thing, but I'm sure next time I see some scum little bastard at Old Trafford saying, no, Ronaldo, please can I have your shirt, I promise not to test it for DNA. It'll be, my heart will harden against it.
We've got another child grievance here from Boney M. Have you seen that one?
The kid sat next to me quoting FIFA stats about players.
But see, I've got a certain amount of sympathy for that because my lad will do it. Like, if I could throw a player name at him, he'll say like, 84 shooting or whatever.
There was on the scum Twitter space thing. I'm sure someone on that mentioned like, we need better midfielders because ours are only like.
We need an 87 CDM.
Yeah, they were like, we've only got like an 84 or something. It was like, that's not.
That's how kids see the world now.
This wasn't a child, I don't know. This was
when we were growing up, we were fascinated by the stats on like Football Manager and Championship Manager.
International caps.
Yeah, but it's the equivalent of that. Is they know the numbers. You used to know the players to go to for Football Manager and Championship Manager. But the difference is like they get to play FIFA and it looks so realistic. They're in the stadiums with the kits and all that sort of thing. And then they see these people in real life. So if it helps them to connect with the club, I'm kind of all for it.
I think we should ban children from Ellen Road immediately.
Yeah.
Well, they're at risk of getting a ball to the face, aren't they?
Or at the very least, price them out like Bates did.
They're at risk of enforced cocaine sniffing, according to that chief constable.
Come to football, get your kids a shirt and hooked on smack.
Oh dear. Right. Remaining nominations for villains. Oh, poor Tyler.
I mean, he just gets nominated all the time.
There's even an apology from Billy here saying, sorry, Moscow, Tyler, Bamford would have had a field day.
Would he? Like, we've never seen Bamford miss an easy header, ever.
Jimmy describes him missing the header as a 50p head.
Well, at least it wasn't an open goal. And at least he doesn't play for Brazil and miss an open goal. So the point is in having a, £50 million
I know, Michael.
Champions League level Brazilian winger. It's just going to boot the ball in the south stand when they've got an open goal.
It's just nice when he's not shouting at you, isn't it?
And finally, Jerry is nominating Match of the Day 2 for only talking about how bad Burnley were and nothing about Leeds and no positives about us. Whatever.
I kind of feel more comfortable with that actually sometimes. We just don't talk about us because we'll just get it wrong.
Yeah, just leave us. Yeah, exactly. Just leave us. Yeah, again, you were saying it before about, talking about Angus's programme notes. It's just damned if you do, damned if you don't. Right,
leave it to us. We'll have some sensible conversation about these things.
By weight of nominations, it should be Paul Tierney. Cornet comes in a close second, I think, in terms of numbers.
Should we send, like I suggested before, Tierney, Cornet, the bottle thrower, and Loughton all villains together, and they can just be condemned to recreate all of that forevermore. They wanted it so much, everybody involved.
It seems a bit unfair that Cornet gets to dance forever and Matt Loughton gets a bottle thrown at his head forever.
Is it unfair?
Is that unfair?
Well, he later, isn't he the one who he kicks Daniel James in the face when he's trying to head the goal in?
No, fair enough.
I actually think the most misery has been inflicted by the buses, you know.
It seems... I mean, I drove to the game, so
I got a bus to the game and it was probably easier than normal.
That's your own private bus, though, isn't it?
It's got one from... there's got it through town. I don't actually know what it was. I was expecting it to be absolute carnage because of there being no special. But I don't know if people either didn't go or more people drove.
That makes it even worse, Moscow, because they can put some buses on, but not the ones that people actually need.
I mean,
get in the bin. First,
that one goes from right near my house.
First Leeds, right? Anyway, I think First Leeds. I'm sorry.
I mean, First as a general bus company are
they've angered me there.
Terrible, and they're run by bad people. So
probably,
I'm sure some of the shareholders are unpleasant to deal with.
So should we give it to them?
Yeah, go on then.
Okay.
What the hell? And
Fine.
Paul Tierney can drive the buses.
Onto the Gaetano Berardi Hero of the Week award then now. Some nominations for... Well, let's do our players first because there are plenty. Dallas is in there with plenty of nominations from a variety of people, talking about the number of appearances that he's racked up. Obviously, he scored a goal, seems to enjoy his celebration, all-round good guy.
It's a historically significant number of appearances he's racked up. It was... I didn't realise until Johnny Cooper's stat was pointed out that he's the first player to pass 250 appearances since Lucas Radaby. So that's how long it's been since we've had somebody to just stay that long. And then I assume it is Michael has compiled the details on who he could pass if he keeps playing for the rest of the season.
Big names. Wallace.
Ray?
No, I don't think he ever amassed 250. Not quite. Maybe in the reserves, but Wallace 257, Lucas 262, Bowie 265, 267 Sheridan, and 273 Martin. So you're talking about some genuine legends of the club in there, and he's going to probably go past them. So,
would you describe him as a genuine legend of the club?
Dallas.
I would suggest he's overseen what has been an era that's not overseen. He's been part of an era that's been going to be really fondly looked back on when we all grow another 10, 20 years older or whatever.
I guess the thing with Dallas is you'd probably look at his first 80 games or whatever and no one would remember him. But the stuff he's done post-Bielsa is certainly heading that way, I think.
And we'd see what he does over the next 250 games. I mean, he might not play that many, but I think he's still got a long way to go, hasn't he?
Well, it's James Milner's birthday today, isn't it?
Christ.
And he's 36, and I don't... there's a chance, I guess, he sticks around till he's 36, in which case, we might be getting into Gary Kelly figures or something, which is, when you start looking at the list, it's actually there are not many people above him now, particularly if you take out Riviera players who are all just completely dominate that the kind of most appearances list. He's right up there now, and I think he's hopefully got a few years left in him as well, playing right back, left back, centre mid.
Well, thanks to Jimmy James, Marvin, Jeff, Ender, Matt, Boney, Emad, Sham, Hillary, Sue, John, and JV.
Everyone, basically.
Everyone who sent something said Stu Dallas. Forshaw, I mean, he feels like the hot favourite for this, by the way. Just nominations elsewhere for Forshaw, another one of our players who was...
Alan Rick saying, getting stuck in even though his skeleton must be thinking, what the fuck is going on? I mean, it's not all originally his skeleton, is it?
Rogers named him Ngolo Forshaw, saying he's added that aggression to his usual sort of neatness and efficiency and playing his way back into England contention. There's time yet. There is time yet.
He has somehow come back better than he was without playing.
They've upgraded the parts, haven't they?
You wouldn't think like 2 years out with an absolutely mangled hip would be the thing. Maybe everybody should do it. It's the Forshaw plan. If you're feeling a little bit ropey after Christmas and New Year, take 2 years off, have countless hip operations, and you would be a new person when you come back.
Ken Bates stole my seat is saying that I didn't spend the whole game wishing Phillips was back, and that is down to him.
Yeah, you didn't really notice it, did you? Because we did well, which is good.
We won't miss him next season when he's gone to Scum.
Well, it's mentioned by... you're talking about Phillips, not Forshaw. James actually picks out the fact they need another contract. Graham, Vince, Andy, Rob, Grumpy Git, Kev, Adrian Patrick, all nominating Forshaw. Firpo gets some nominations as well. Not quite as many, but a good, really, really good performance.
Yeah, being, as Adrian's points out, being hammered all season, but was great.
Rick as well. What's Rick referring to here? Because I've forgotten. He says Junior Firpo was outstanding. He also wants to nominate me, he upset me last time.
Weren't you crying on about something last time for ages? I think it's that.
Well,
anyway.
Sucking up to me is not going to do any good, so pack it in, Rick.
You've just nominated.
You've upsetted me again.
And Joffy. I'd rather think about Click and Joffy.
Cock. Dan James.
Always ready to think about Cock.
Urente gets a single nomination for quite what I'm not sure.
Bless him. He was good, although I did notice at one point Chris Wood shrugged him off as if he was taking off a silk dressing gown. He kind of just went like this, and Diego Urente went flying about 20 feet behind him on the floor. And it wasn't like he was diving or anything. It was generally he'd thrown him, but it was such a kind of a gentle shrug. It just somehow, I don't know if he caught Mad Diego off balance or something, but yeah, it was good. So he gets a nomination for being thrown about by Chris Wood.
Can I ask a personal question, Moscow? Do you own a silk dressing gown?
No.
Oh, okay.
I imagine you have a smoking jacket.
Familiar with how they work, though.
Right.
I can imagine you striding around.
What's your experience?
We have a nomination for Henry VIII.
What's he got to do with
I don't actually understand the words that Mike from Tooting has sent this in. I don't understand the word.
I did have to look this up.
So let's read it out first. Actually, you typed on the sheet, by the way, Henry VII. I would like to point out.
Yeah, that's wrong.
I corrected your basic error, not for the first time.
I don't know. No, he doesn't get talked about much, does he?
Big Ken.
The seventh.
Big Harry.
But yeah, he's been nominated for being the last person to take a stand against consanguinity.
Consanguinity.
I don't know how you pronounce it.
What does it mean?
It's basically marrying relatives.
Oh, interbreeding.
Yeah, it's interbreeding related thing.
Burnley.
There's a song about it and the Gary Neville's.
Flowing from that, Interpol picked out. Jeff P says Interpol for their sterling work in retrieving Jack Harrison's dog from sinister betting syndicate.
Saw he did his roundup of the year on Instagram. There was a photo of him with the dog, and I don't think he'd have put that there if the dog wasn't home. So
right, good.
That's good. I think we're all very relieved.
What else have we got then? We have Mike Dean for being anonymous. Kevin was pleased with that, yeah? To go back to what you were saying there, Moscow.
Less anonymous, COVID gets some nominations from Cop Coops, Lee and the Cheese, TJ, just essentially for giving us a bit of a rest, which was quite handy.
I mean, you can't really get angry at Newcastle either, can you, for what they did by, when like Sim Maximan got injured and Callum Wilson, and they just immediately applied for cancellation of their game against Southampton.
We need to stay out of trouble until we get Kieran Trippier in.
Not having it, are you?
There were a couple of nominations for from Jimmo and West Ham Ralph for whoever played I Predict to Riot at the end.
Didn't like it.
I didn't like it.
Too loud.
I prefer being able to sing at the players. Yeah, I have to say, in that situation.
You leave.
I don't anymore, because I used to when I used to have to get back to the low fields really quickly because of where I parked my car. But
if ever you were giving me a lift, you would always have like strict instructions that I would like to stay at the end of a game. But it was like, I'm not hanging around for you because I leave like 4 minutes before the end, so you need to be out and ready. And now you are like, oh no, I want to sing around and sing for my favourite players. Can't be playing.
But that's because we used to record at Radio Air and we had to get out quickly.
And if you don't get out quickly, from the low fields where I had to park because the magazines were
so there were years and years and years when you had absolutely no idea. They could have, after every game, they could have spent 20 minutes playing Michael Norman's over the PA, and you missed it all. But now, because you're all just like, oh, I want to see if Luke Ayling will give me his shirt. You don't want to hear any music. Blotting you out singing, Luke.
That's put you back in your box, hasn't it?
I'm not sure how I feel about it. It was a bit too loud.
We should not have given you those lifts now. Should have walked to Radio Air.
Made you
grateful bastard.
And it's the right old way from.
I didn't used to leave before the end anyway. I used to get to the exit as full-time whistle went, and then just leg it as quickly as I could to get.
It's not this fantasy world in which you're staying behind to sing the names of all your favourite players.
I am quite small. If I got a wing, I could pass myself off as a child and run on the pitch.
Right. We want to nominate whoever relegates Burnley TV as well. Jake suggests that Burnley's version of LUTV had an interviewer doing Dyche's post-match that sounded exactly like him. I've seen the clips of this, actually, but it sounded like you doing your impression, asking the questions.
What did you think of that,
etc. Whatever it is that you do.
Yeah, that's the one. Something like that.
The box
logo. There was one last little...
No. Go on, one more.
Why?
Because I want you to.
Why the fuck should I?
Because it's what people want from this, not us talking about it. Anyway, the box logo, I mentioned that earlier on, actually. Pleased with that.
Yeah.
I like the
Much
little
better.
tweak.
Much more inclined towards a box tea boiler now.
Get rid of the blue patch, and then
I'm going to buy 10 of them.
don't really need the outline. Just put the word boxed on your sleeve. You could probably see
The outline gives it a little definition.
but you'd be able to see it from their point of view. I'm trying to help them. Like you can see the word a bit better, can't you? If it's just the letters rather than that silly
because
outline.
you'd associate the outline with the overall logo when you're looking at it.
I think you're forgetting when our square ball logo used to look quite a lot like that, Dan. That had a big load of space.
That's because I didn't know what to do with it, and I was designing it, and I've got no design sensibilities, and I nicked it off the B&Q logo.
Well, you actually ended up with almost the identical logo of. There was an art museum in Bern in Switzerland that was practically just the same. I remember looking at it at the time. I'm sure we looked at it.
Cool story, bro.
But no, I mean, I'm actually bigging up your the Kunstmuseum Bern.
Pardon?
And yeah, we looked at it at the time. Look at that. Obviously, this is on.
Oh, yeah.
We saw that one, even blue and white. So I was quite bemused when
better than the B&Q one.
you just happened to land upon the exact same design as an art museum.
That was what I was thinking.
The notorious Gurlitt trove of Nazi-tainted art makes its first appearance. At the,
Let's get off the Nazis. Wayne Hennessy gets a nomination, by the way, for the way that he watched Dallas's goal go past him.
Yeah, that was much better. I think that's what inspired him to interfere with Dan James. Is he was like, I've got to try and get a hand on something today.
Through a crowd, wasn't it? In fairness to Hennessy, that Dallas one, he just sort of.
Still, I mean, Mellier's the one he conceded was around the wall. He saw less of that.
Was oddly sort of limp from Meslier. Was that he just sort of he didn't really jump at it. He sort of went, I can't reach in a way that I don't particularly associate that sort of thing with him.
Our photographer Lee Brown, who was behind that goal, has a photograph of Llorente trying to line the wall up, and obviously it's a split-second moment, so you can't read too much into it. But he's kind of looking at back at Meslier, going, "Huh?"
You could tell they weren't quite happy with it.
Yeah, but it was an awkward place because it's absolutely central, so you didn't really know, and obviously somebody else could have put it around the other side, so it's quite a difficult place to line up. And I think it's one of the moments when you remember that Meslier is 21.
Right.
Yeah, and the number of times he's bailed us out and made brilliant saves.
Yeah.
I don't think we'd ever
it wasn't like a ridiculous shot to let in or anything. It was a very good free kick. But I suppose I think I would normally expect him to save that because he's dead good.
Anyway,
Tyler Roberts' head had just been like
pick a hero. Pick a hero. Come on.
I mean, yeah, the weight of nominations and the weight of games that he's played and the sheer
moments
impact on the club, the moments he's had, the near legendary status that he'll go on to have. Then Jordan Bataka is. Oh no, sorry, I was thinking of something else. It's Dallas.
Yeah, well done, Stuart Dallas. Then our Gitana Baradi Hero of the Week wraps up the show for this week. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back with, let's have a think,
West Ham.
Yeah, Phil Hayes show before that, haven't we, as well?
Not on the square ball, no. You're thinking of a completely different media company that isn't currently offering the first month free if you subscribe to their membership, TSP Plus.
On which note, we'll bid you farewell.
Squareball.net, not the whatever.com.
We'll see you in a bit.
The Square Ball Podcast.